We are very, very good at being watched. I mean it. We act as if we hate it so much, and yet when the camera's on, we can't seem to help, we can't seem to act except perfectly. No one speeds when a police car is right behind them. No one breaks the law when the jury is watching. And no one pulls down their pants in a mall filled with strangers. And no one breaks the social cues of an audience unless the cues really do call for it. But why? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do any of that? It's not about our moral consciousness. It's not about knowing what's right or wrong. Not speeding when a police car is behind you isn't knowing what's right or wrong. It's simply fear. Not fear of our own consciousness, not fear of breaking our values, but rather fear of those more powerful than us and what they might do in response. I want to begin with one name, Saint Nicholas. Call him what you might, be it Santa Claus, Father Christmas, Kris Kringle. We all know him as the man with many names, a secret base in the icicle part of Earth, and surveillance on millions, if not billions of children all at the same time. The only man that we know of that can break both international law, borders, and calorie records in less than a day. However, while I might not be going into St. Nicholas's long history of conspiracy theories tonight, I want you to consider three main scenarios. Child A, Child B, and Person C. Child A is a child who believes deeply in Santa Claus, his cause, his consequence, and his ability to do everything that I've listed before. Child B is someone who's somewhat skeptical of the existence of Santa Claus, of an entity that can go to every house in less than a night and still have a belly larger than his sack of toys. While Person C is the person who created the colloquial version of Santa Claus that both Child A, Child B, and most of us here in the audience are familiar with. We will not be considering any scenarios beyond these three, just for the sake of simplicity. There are no outliers for today's performance. I want you also to consider the statistics. About 85 to 86% of children worldwide, according to CNN and New York Times, believe deeply in Santa Claus. That simply means that the majority of the population of our children and beyond believe that Santa Claus can realistically be a thing. I also want you to consider that 90% of parents worldwide, they want their children to believe in Santa Claus. And so that means that the idea has a large majority of the population attached to it. Now that we've considered these statistics, I want to go back to our three scenarios. As you might have guessed, Child A is going to make a lot of good decisions, such as not throwing a jar off the counter at 3 a.m., not because it's going to wake up his parents, not because it's going to hurt his cat when the glass shatters all over the floor, rather because he won't be getting a Christmas gift and his parents are going to be mad. The idea of Santa Claus that he so deeply believes in strips the idea of morality down to a simple performance for gain. Child A would then believe that with just the right amount of good deeds, he can grow up to get something out of being a good person. As for Child B is obviously going to be way more curious than Child A. He will need a little bit more convincing, a little bit more curiosity in order to get into the belief that Santa Claus is indeed a real entity. But when you put him in a class where 86% believe that Santa Claus is real, you will no longer end up with a Child B by the moment he turns 5. Because by that point, he's going to be just like Child A. And obviously, he's just going to make a few mistakes, but he's going to end up following the same set of rules that his parents will tell him are right or wrong, such as go brush your teeth, do your homework, don't bite the guests at 3 a.m. with your little baby teeth, etc. That's obviously because parents are parents, and they will highlight this to their children, probably by the decade-long belief of Santa Claus. But it's all fun and games, all chocolate milk and cookies, up until we consider scenario 3. Person C. Person C is inarguably the most dangerous of the 3 scenarios. He is the person who created the system The system that has 90% of the population relying on it and 86 believing it. So, if you are the person who created the system, the person who created what's right and what's wrong, the person who knows that, and I'm sorry to break it to the youngsters in the audience, Santa Claus is not real. So, what stops you from breaking the very fabric of the ideas that you created yourself? What stops you from committing and acting to no one but yourself, from pleading innocent to no one but yourself? I want you to apply that logic to everything that you know, such as law, order. If the lawmakers can break the laws that they created, who holds them accountable if they are the people who control accountability? And for this scenario, obviously, accountability goes down to Santa Claus. So while Child A and Child B are constrained by the fear factor that I talked about earlier, the person who created it is not. Now, this obviously explains to most of us that morality has become a simple game of performance and nothing more. And so when morality strips down into something created for gain, we slowly get manipulated by it, by the people who write these laws, these ideas. And so all of it becomes a simple performance. I want to ask a question to you all. Are we performing for? According to the Bonds University, 75% of people worldwide are afraid of exactly what I'm doing right now more than death. They're afraid of public speaking more than death. That fear is not rooted in forgetting your words. It's rooted in being seen and still being rejected. I want you to also apply that logic to your lives. We're afraid of being seen and rejected, not afraid of saying the wrong things. And so we believe in trends that we do not agree with, values that are upheld and rewarded. I want you to put this logic also on other ideas, such as gender roles. Gender roles have historically, except maybe that one person who has bamboozlingly large opinions, been condemned, as the objectification of women generally has been condemned by everyone worldwide. However, the symbol of objectification of women has still survived in our day-to-day lives, and we see it in many platforms. Now, this idea of objectification of women has rebranded. It's changed course. It's put different names, but it still survives despite our greatest of efforts. If this proves one thing, it proves that no matter what, a symbol does not need belief to survive. It needs repetition. And that logic applies to anything that we see nowadays. And so this brings us to our very final question. Who are you when no one is watching? And no, I don't mean your name. I don't mean your age. And I do not mean your occupation. I mean, do you still follow the same values in your most private of moments? Or do you follow a set of values set out by others that you don't really believe in? We will always follow the same rules that were written by people centuries ago who will never live under them. And yet we have this desperate feeling that we need to follow them in our every situation. I want you to also consider one last thing before we wrap this up. One last thing that I want to leave you all with. 66% of the world's population uses artificial intelligence regularly. Not experimentally, not every now and then, regularly. An AI is written by someone who you will never meet, such as many things that we believe in. It's written with a code, with beliefs, with ideas that you will never know, and yet we still ask advice. There is this quote: knowledge is knowing that Frankenstein is not the monster. Knowledge is knowing that wisdom is knowing that Frankenstein is the monster. We are no longer just building a monster. We are asking it for advice. We are following its moral dilemmas, its ethical ideas. And as I said before, it's written by people who we will never meet. So, when there is no AI, no Santa Claus, nothing but you, Who are you when no one is watching? Thank you. This is Yaqeen Atta, and thank you for listening.